You're listening to eCommerce Uncensored with Kevin Manel and Jason Caruso.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us on another episode of eCommerce Uncensored. This is episode 188. My name is Kevin Manel, and I'm here with
Jason Caruso.
So Jason, there's been a topic that's been kind of floating around in my head. And before we got on, we kind of we're working on a way to structure it and to figure out a way to bring it home. And it's been in my head for two reasons. It's because I've been discussing it with one of our clients, and I've been reading Russell Brunson's .com Secrets book for the second time. And I just got back from a trip and I read it on the way home. So it's kind of fresh in my mind. And it's part about, using SEO and what to focus on SEO, and then what to do with that organic traffic once you get it.
So right, everybody wants organic traffic. Everybody looks at that like as the holy grail, right? Because everybody thinks that, paid traffic, once you turn the paid traffic off, you lose all the organic sales. And that's partially true.
Yeah.
We're actually going through that with our business right now. We turned off the Facebook ads. Whatever's going on in the political world is definitely, we're seeing our ads being affected a bit. So once you turn off that, turn off Facebook or you turn off Google, paid ads or whatever, you're left with organic. So people look at that as the holy grail. In fact, we were with a client and they were looking for an investor, and the investor was asking a lot of organic search type questions.
Yeah. I mean, it's like free. You feel like it's free, but
right.
What is it? You don't control it in any way. So we're going to discuss that.
But before we do,
we got to talk about Klaviyo, the ultimate e-commerce marketing platform. And we got an email from our, connection at Klaviyo, and she said she wanted us to change our read a little bit. And we don't really read a standard ad read. It's just not the way we roll. We kind of talk about our experiences, but it was kind of crazy that, this last read I got from her that we're supposed to read that we don't, in May, talks about how it's trusted by over 30,000 e-commerce brands.
Right. And Klaviyo, right.
Yeah. Klaviyo is trusted. And now she wrote us back. She's like, I need you to change it. It's now over 50,000 e-commerce brands.
Right. So when was that? May, you said?
That was in May this year.
From May to September, October, they're up to 50,000 customers. It's crazy because, we, a lot of people that we speak to, we just signed up a client right now who just said, I moved over to Klaviyo because of you guys.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't using our link, unfortunately, but we are bringing a lot of people to Klaviyo. We know that because people are responding or reaching out to us and telling us that they're moving over because they heard about it on the podcast. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And you had mentioned that kind of the increase in costs on Facebook ads because of the election and all the money being spent there. Like about 2 weeks ago, we're like, let's just pause them. Let's take a break from Facebook ads. We'll just send emails out and make a bunch of money. And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah. It was the end of the month and we were just trying to be a little bit more profitable. So we just turned the Facebook ads off. Just because our ads are breaking even right now, which usually happens when you spend the kind of money that we're spending. So,
but that's the kind of things you can do when you have a platform like Klaviyo.
Right.
And that's part of the conversation we're going to have is about owning your traffic, and email is a big part of that. So you got to go to klaviyo.com/uncensored to sign up. That's klaviyo.com/uncensored. And Jason, I know you want to talk about your Facebook course because you did add some new things over there, right?
The Facebook course has changed a little bit, actually. The price is now out of beta. It has gone up significantly from when we started it or when we launched it. However, we are adding 2 new bonuses in there, and that is basically 2 30-minute phone calls with Kevin and I, or I, depending on who's available. But we will have 2 30-minute calls. One call will be to kind of onboard you a bit and kind of talk about your offer and talk about what you're doing. And then there'll be a follow-up call later. So basically, you'll be getting us almost like our clients do, where we go over the offer, we go over the ads, we go through your ad manager. and then we review it later and see what's going on and why it's working, why it's not. And honestly, our clients, at the very least, are paying us $5,000 a month for the cost of this course. You're going to get us for much, much less. So go sign up. It's at ecommerceuncensored.com/truth. And hope to see you in there. We're getting a lot of people coming through, which is nice. People are sending us messages on IG. I want to get in the course. Is it good for me? I sell cosmetic products, or I sell this product or that product. It's good for anybody who's running ads. Now, I just want to do a quick disclaimer, Kevin, because we said that our ads are being affected by the political environment. That's happening because of our audience. So I don't want you guys to listen to that or hear that and say, oh, well, Facebook ads aren't going to work right now. Well, that's not the case. Our audience tends to be an audience that pays attention very closely to the political scene. There's a lot of other clients. There's a lot of other people that are running ads that are really, really, really successful. So I don't want you to be deterred by that. It's just that our audience specifically are the people who, quote unquote, generally follow politics. And we've definitely seen a little bit of a downtick in the profitability.
Yeah, just the costs are going up. The CPMs
Costs are going up, right.
And another client that we have too is the same thing. It's like an older audience,
right,
for supplements, and I'm seeing like a triple on the CPM. But
that's an audience thing. It's
Yeah.
not. We're seeing a lot of ads do really, really well, depending on what the audience is doing. So I don't want you to be deterred by that. It's just kind of our audience specifically.
All right. So just to this SEO topic, I just want to kind of like, the backstory is because one of our clients came to us. We were having our like weekly meeting, and we were discussing optimization on YouTube. That's how it really first started, and started thinking about what they should focus on and how they should focus on it. Because, it's very easy when you're a company, and we talk about this. This is a hairdryer company that we deal with, and we talk about them a lot. But just to give some context of what it is and some specifics, is like, it's very easy to initially, when you talk about SEO, is to really go at those high volume keywords. Like, for instance, like they gave me a list of keywords that they're trying to focus on, and one was just blowout, right? Like it was a hair blowout. And of course, like that generalized term is going to get a ton of traffic, or not a ton of traffic, but a ton of volume. But with volume also comes
search volume.
So the amount of times someone searches that keyword in Google. So with volume comes competition, so you're going to have a ton of people that you're competing with for that one search term.
And it's also not very, it's not very targeted either. Like blowout is a very broad word, and it could mean a few different things. It doesn't necessarily mean it's somebody looking for, quote unquote, what we're selling, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Quote,
and
like blowouts.
Right. I learned that too. Blowout kind of maybe was a bad example, but because it did mean, I started looking at it, I was like, oh shit, blowout could be blow out your car. It was actually a car tire keyword. Blowing out your car tire was like the main results you got when you type blowout. But I also started thinking, and I started like recognizing, I had a party for my son last week, and people were over, and the one girl, every time we'd come up a topic, or we'd have a question about like an old TV show. We were watching shows about Saved by the Bell. And every time she searched, she would pick up her phone and she would talk to Siri, and she would be so specific about what she is searching for. It's like, what did Zach Morris do in this episode? So-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And then when I was also doing this when we were on vacation last week, when my wife, Michelle, was looking up things. She was speaking into her phone, and she was very specific about exactly what she was looking for. So it got me thinking, like, this is the behavior. This is how people are searching the internet. They're not searching blowout anymore. They're searching how to do a blowout at home with my natural hair. Do you know what I mean? So I think when you're thinking about search terms and things like that to focus on, you need to think about those long tail words. So, 5 to 7 words, perhaps. That's going to give
and
someone.
also, sorry, Kev, but also phrases.
Right.
Phrases are becoming much more important with SEO because people, like you said, are using their phones and they're speaking into them. I mean, like, I never text anybody and type anymore. Everything I do is if I'm in a place that I can speak into my phone, that's what I do. It's just faster,
Right.
and I can be more specific. I mean, just think about, like, I know every parent has done this. When your kid is sick, what's the first thing you do? Is you go to Google and you type in, son has a cough, 3-year-old son has a cough, at night.
Right.
That's much different than 3-year-old has a cough.
Right. And yeah, that's a good example because when we were coming home from Orlando, and Orlando is obviously a high COVID area. I don't know what it's called, like high risk COVID location. So coming back to New Jersey, they require quarantine. So we want to kind of get a test within this first week or so to see if we, if we're safe or not, if we have to quarantine. So she picks up her phone and she's like,
well, you do have to quarantine.
You do have to, I guess you have to quarantine no matter what. Even if you go get tested and you come back negative, you're supposed to quarantine.
Supposed to quarantine because it takes 12 or 2 weeks, I guess, incubation.
Right. So, she picks up the phone and she's like, how soon after I come home from a trip can I get tested for COVID? It's not like.
It's a very long tail. It's very specific. And like, this is like the thing where, if you find most marketers that know what they're doing, they don't necessarily go big on SEO, quote unquote SEO, right? They're not doing meta tags, meta descriptions like everybody thinks you're supposed to be doing. It's done a little bit differently these days. And this is where Russell Brunson talks a lot about, traffic that you own, right? Like, traffic that you own is traffic that you get on your email list, right? So there's traffic that you own. There's traffic that what's the other one?
Traffic that you can control.
You control.
And
traffic
you don't own.
Yeah.
Or traffic. Let me get it. Here, I have it right here. It's traffic you control, traffic you don't control, and traffic you own.
Right. And basically, traffic you don't control is SEO, right? Like, SEO, you could be ranking for all different kinds of keywords. And that's traffic you don't own, you don't control, you don't anything. It just comes to you whenever Google feels like sending it to you. But what he's talking about specifically, meaning Russell, is trying to create SEO that turns that traffic that you don't control into traffic that you do control. So instead of doing SEO the traditional way, and we're kind of like all over the place with this, but we're going to bring it home here. Instead of doing SEO, and this is where, like, even like our clients, right? They want traffic. That's all they care about is traffic, right? So instead of just creating resources that drive traffic, right? How do you drive traffic that you then can own, right? It first started off with blogging, where people would talk about content upgrades, where somebody comes to your blog and then you give them something that's relates to that blog post, and they have to give you their email in exchange for that resource. That's called a content upgrade. That's how you take people that come to your blog and you turn them into traffic that you own. Instead of just creating resources that drive traffic. And this is, this same client, Kevin, you're talking about, we were just recently in a meeting with them with a potential investor, and the investor was really, really hot on organic traffic. And,
well, he wasn't so concerned about organic. He's like, and it made a lot of sense, because he was like, okay, how much of your organic traffic end up on your product pages? Because really, like, organic
and how
traffic,
much money do you make from that organic traffic?
Yeah, organic traffic's great, but like, if you get organic traffic to a blog post that talks about, blowouts again, hair, how to do a blowout at home for your natural hair, whatever it may be, what good is that traffic to you if they never come back or they don't really know? Because they're really just there for information at that point. It's very like, top of the funnel stuff. You got to get them, like Jason said, traffic that you own, and then get them over to your product and get them to know your product and, you know, get them to interact with your product, not just your content, not just your resources and things like that.
And everything's changing now because you can do this a couple ways, right? Like you can create audiences of people that come to your blog post, and you can put them in an audience that you can retarget them on Facebook, you can retarget them on Google. So although you don't own the traffic, you can create, you know, audiences that you can retarget them to try to get them on your email list. The idea really is to have a little bit more strategy behind your SEO. Before, in the old days, it was like, how much traffic could you send? Traffic. Problem is that there is so much competition. Everybody's opening up a store. There are so many people out there that, you know, like what they say? They said a goldfish, and I think Russell said this too. He said the attention span of a goldfish is 7 seconds. The attention span of a human is 7 or something. Yeah. So the idea is that just creating SEO type resources, it's just not good enough anymore. It used to be good because we used to send a lot of traffic to a blog, and then you can make money off people clicking your ads. But that's kind of, you know, shifted a little bit. I mean, that's not really where the real money is. You know, I used to have this blog that would get 1 million visitors a month to it, 1 million visitors a month. And in ad revenue, we made about like $5,000. I mean, 1 million people to it.
I'm sure it's much less now.
It's much less now. It was when we were kind of closing up shop, it was like $1,500. So just think about getting those people on your email list and then selling them shit that you have. You know, if back then I was smart enough to know that, I would have done it and I would have made a lot more money than $5,000. But at the time, you know, this wasn't even a concept that people talked about, and you know, I didn't figure it out. So, you know, I was doing exactly what we're telling you guys not to do, is just sending as much traffic to the blog as possible without. No, you know, I take that back though. We had a big YouTube channel, and I always told my partner, when you create a YouTube video, you know, get them off of YouTube, send them to the blog. You know, like anytime you can send them to the blog, send them to the blog. Like, hey, this is the tool I'm using for this cake. You could buy it on my blog. We did that a lot, but actually getting them on our email list was kind of secondary. Now, if I were to do it all over again, I would actually flip-flop that. I would try to get as many people on the email list and then sell them through the email.
Man, I think I'm sorry, go ahead.
Again.
No, I was just saying that, and then like after you get them on your email list, or even like, as you said, retargeting them on Facebook or Google after they've been to your blog, communicating them in a way that makes sense for where they came from. So if you if they end up on a blog post and they're just getting information about a topic, and then you just start sending them shit about your product, you're not gonna have the connection.
And the way that you do that is you tag them in Klaviyo. So when someone comes to a blog that's about hair dryers, or hair dryers in this case for Black women, when somebody comes on your email list on that page, you tag them as whatever you want that person to be, and then you can speak to them specifically via your email. And that's one thing that we're doing more of. We haven't done in the past, but we're doing more of now, is actually speaking to the audience specifically rather than as one big, you know, audience, right? Like you have this email list and everybody thinks that, you know, they're all one. They're all like one singular person, really. And when you have an email list of 50,000, 60,000, like we do, you got to talk to those people differently. And that's something that we're looking, you know, into a lot more. And it's the same thing with SEO. It's the same thing with creating blogs and this other stuff. I mean, you want to specifically talk to someone and their problems because you'll get a much better return on that traffic.
Yeah, and you do what Russell Brunson calls the value ladder. Like you can send them up the value ladder. So they started off on your blog post, they got some value there. they sign up for your email list, and then you continue to give them more value through your email and through your communication. And then, okay, here's our product. Here's something you can buy. Here's a more expensive thing you can buy. You know, and you take them up that, so they become that dream client or dream customer.
Yeah, he talks about how giving them more value and charging them more, right? Like where you could sell them a product and then give them coaching, or you can, you know, whatever, and you can ascend them up this ladder where, you know, you can charge them more as you give them more value. And that's a whole nother strategy for another time. But
Yeah.
the idea is, you know, having a focus for your SEO, have a focus for your whatever content you're creating.
Yeah, a purpose for every blog post that you put out there that you want to optimize for SEO. Have a strategy of what's going to happen after somebody gets there.
Yeah, and if you guys, I would go to a website called a blog called Backlinko, BACKLINKO.com, Backlinko. And I forgot the guy's name, but he talks about how he does the like longer blog posts rather than more frequent blog posts, and he actually targets exactly like we were talking about. He tries to target like a specific topic to a specific person, and he tries to make that blog post as meaty or as long as he possibly can, with all kinds of content upgrades and yada yada yada. But the point is, that's a really good resource. You guys you should check him out. I forgot his name, but I used to be a little bit more into SEO. I'm not so much anymore, but yeah, really good resource. And you can learn a lot for e-commerce, because, you know, getting traffic, you know, that is kind of like the holy grail, right? It is how you get out there. I mean,
especially when you can attach free traffic.
Yeah, free traffic, right? I mean, there's a lot of different ways now, also with social media and, you know, Instagram and Facebook and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, this client we've been talking about, their organic search is up like, what was it, Kev? I don't know.
I don't even know the number. It was huge. I mean,
200%.
Yeah,
it was like crazy.
Because we started a blog back in September for them, and it was able to supplement some issues that they had with COVID, which was amazing.
And their revenue has doubled,
right?
Or even more than that. So definitely,
but you also can't rely on it though either. Like they had a blog post that was in that rich snippet area, so it's like Google serves the information to you right on the search engine, because obviously they want you to stay there as well. So they try to answer your question right in the search results.
Oh, you got to explain that a little bit. You went over that a little bit fast. Explain that.
Well, Google has this thing called snippets, which is when you type in a search, they will try to answer your question right into the search results, so you don't have to click through. So you'll see the answer to your question right in the search results page. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's
so it'll pull the information from your blog, and it'll publish it right onto the search result.
So they're trying to keep people on Google more now. That's what they're doing.
Right. So they had a lot of success because they got that position for one of their blog posts, and it was driving a lot of organic traffic. But then a couple months later, they lost that ranking, and somebody else was being served that information. So that's just an issue, a situation where you can't control it. You can lose it at any time. So you can't rely on it totally.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad that we were able to talk about that little idea.
Got that off your head?
It got that out of my head.
And, out of your head. You were trying to articulate that to me for like 20 minutes. I'm like,
well, sometimes it's hard. You say it all the time. You're like, it sounds so good in your head. Like when we were doing these videos for the course, it's like, I can say it in my head. It sounds perfect. But then when you try to articulate what you want to say in words, it sometimes doesn't come across as clear as it is to yourself. But
right.
I think it made sense.
Yeah, no, it's good, because I think a lot of people spend a lot of time, optimizing for the wrong things.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks. So before we go, got to talk about Klaviyo. Trusted by over 50,000 e-commerce brands. And it's our, like we said, email is the number one, ROI channel that we have.
Oh, it's not even close.
Not even close. So go to klaviyo.com/uncensored to sign up. That's klaviyo.com/uncensored. They have a free account that you can sign up to check it out. Do that now. And then check out our Facebook course.
Yeah, eCommerceUncensored.com/truth. As I said, we are offering 2 30-minute phone calls with you guys. Personally, we're going to do it. It's not people on our team. You'll actually sit down with us for 30 minutes, 2 calls, and we'll go over your ads manager, and then we will do a follow-up afterwards.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been episode 188. As always, you can check us out at eCommerceUncensored.com, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.